past haunts us all, whether it be a person, place, or thing. We are reluctant to let go. We call to the dead out of desperation and intrigue, searching for answers about what lies behind the shadows. We are paranormal researchers. We are Necromancers. Hello and welcome to the Necromancer Live Show. I am your host, Justin Brown, and this is episode 29 with Brad Streets of creepy Cincinnati Paraforensics. Good friend of mine. I've investigated with him. We definitely got to know each other from the Higgins Sports School. Without further ado, I'm going to bring him over and we'll get to know Brad. Hey, buddy, what's up?
Hey, how you guys doing?
I'm doing good. Just went to my daughter just got recognized for being on high honor roll and on the 6th grade basketball team at our school at the varsity basketball team game. So,
congratulations.
Thanks. It's always cool to do that. So, buddy, now we got you on the show. Now we get to hear all the tasty things that maybe I didn't know about you before, like your origin story. Like, where in the world did you ever, run into the paranormal community and the whole paranormal research field? When did it start for you?
So, first started probably around 2007, 2008 when I first got out the Army. I was living with my ex's parents, and we actually lived in the middle of a graveyard. I was out walking my dog one night, and she just starts barking, and I turn around, and there's just a big, tall, black figure standing there. Left me speechless. I couldn't move or anything, and that's really what first got me interested in the paranormal. And about a year ago, I was actually just searching around Facebook, Craigslist, and found an ad and ended up contacting Austin with CCP and started as a cameraman with them and, just developed into starting to investigate and everything.
So Austin was running an ad.
Yes.
I'm curious, what did it say in the ad? Was it looking for a camera guy or what?
Yeah, they were just looking for a cameraman at the beginning, and I was always skeptic about what I had actually seen, and if there is an afterlife, what happens after you die. So I talked to them. They accepted me onto the team to operate the camera, and just evolved into a investigator from there.
Yeah, you said you seen an apparition. Did somebody else see that with you?
No, it was probably about 10, 11 o'clock at night. Like I said, I was out walking my dog, and like I said, it froze me. I was speechless. Couldn't really do anything.
So you were kind of wondering if you were just imagining it or hallucinating or whatever. You didn't know for sure.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was seeing.
But it spiked your interest enough to go see if you can experience it again. And it just so happened to be with creepy Cincinnati Paraforensics. So tell us what happened after that. You joined the group, and what kind of investigations or what kind of research were they doing at that time?
When I first joined, we first went to Whispers Estate. It was my first trip out, and I actually happened to get scratched on the back there. We do a lot of ITC research on our team with the radios and spirit boxes, all that stuff. But I try to stay skeptic about everything. Try to debunk what I can. I mean, sometimes it's very hard to debunk anything. What you're seeing, what you're hearing. And it's just evolved from there.
What did you start? What was CCP doing with the ITC field when you first started? Because I'm sure it changed and evolved after a year or so, right?
Yeah. We started, we still use the hacked radios, the spirit boxes. We three main investigators along with Angel. We use DR60 recorders. We've captured phenomenal EVPs with it. With the spirit boxes, the hacked radios, we've gotten some great evidence. Some of it we've been able to debunk, some of it we haven't been able to.
So, what made you get into the more expensive and the more popular ones? Like, because I noticed you were doing the portal type devices and the Banshee box stuff. What made you get into that? Did you think that it was better than what you were doing?
I wouldn't necessarily say better. It's a different approach to it. Most people just go in with EMF detectors, a EVP reader, and your K2 meters. And I think the electronics part is just more of a new approach to it with the radios, especially some of the spirit box apps. They play language backwards, and when you actually hear in a full sentence going forward, it makes you question. Are you really talking to a spirit, or what's actually going on?
Right. So, what do you do to determine or validate that you are doing that?
Um, you know, we make sure we don't have anybody around us talking. When we're doing investigations, we try to reduce any noise around us that we have. With the like I said, with some of the apps, they're playing the speaking backwards, and when you hear a sentence going forward, it's we like to think that it's the spirits that we're talking to. We'll never be 100% about that until we pass to the other side, whether it be an energy realm, a spirit realm, heaven or hell, whatever it may be.
Okay.
So we can't 100% say that yes, this is a spirit we're talking to.
Right.
Because we just don't know.
So you started off being very skeptical. You had an experience pretty late, into your life. So a lot of people have a much younger on average. What point
Yes.
during your experience and time with CCP did you feel like you were a firm believer in paranormal?
It actually happened out at Higginsport School. I had actually gotten sick and I was in the hospital on my deathbed at one point. I was in there for 3 weeks. While I was in the hospital, some of my teammates was using the spirit box, and I don't know exactly 100%. Don't quote me on it. But it said Brad's sick. He's in a hospital. And Mike, my teammate, asked, "How do you know that?" And it said, "We put him there." So this was while I was in the hospital. Now, a couple of days ago, he's reviewing some EVPs from the school from about a week or two before I actually went to the hospital. And it said, "I'm going to make Brad sick." So, to me, it's too much of a coincidence that sessions happened and I was in a hospital at that time. To me, that's hard to debunk. And it's really made me a believer.
Yes, that's strange. For those that are listening and watching that don't know, Brad and Creepy Cincinnati Paraforensics were the resident paranormal researchers for Higginsport School at the time, which is in Ohio, right on the Ohio River. And there, towards the end, before they lost the school, they were dealing with some pretty dark and negative things. So, you want to talk about your thoughts on that?
When we first got to school, there wasn't a lot of people going in there to investigate. There's a lot of break-ins. Some homeless people lived in there, and I think just over the span of time that we had to school, we were letting other groups in. We couldn't really control what the other groups were doing. So, maybe between us and between the other groups, we may have stirred up some bad energy in there, or even brought in some bad spirits from other locations, and just they decided to camp out there and try to take over the school.
Really, that's crazy, because when I was there, I did not feel anything that was obviously negative. We didn't provoke. We were kind of just there to observe. We did feel like we came into contact with the young man that was found dead in there. Not
Yes.
quite sure, but some of the voice phenomena that we captured and what our empaths and what was able to, correlate with other things that you guys had captured down there underneath the stage in the gym made us feel like we were pretty sure, and we actually got the name as well. So that was really interesting, but like you said, when you let people in, you don't know what doors you're opening and you don't know what other energies you're
Yeah.
allowing to boil up and go on. So you think that whatever was there pretty much made you sick. Why do you think, what would be the motive to make you sick?
Well, I did provoke a little bit. The nicest to them. That's just kind of how I investigate. I like to poke and prod. That upsets the spirits or whatever's in there. And I don't do it in a mean way. I do it kind of in a jokingly way. And the spirits take that the wrong way, and it could irritate them and make them mad.
Right, because I remember Austin mentioning quite a few times that there was an entity in there that you guys would communicate with, and they were very smartass like. And it seemed,
Yeah.
and definitely while we were there, Austin would always seem to get very seemingly malicious voice phenomena. Like at one point, it said they were going to kill. When I was there the first time, it said it wanted to do harm, and then the very last time with Matt Benton there, right after the premiere of the documentary I did, it again said it wanted to do him harm. So
Yeah.
I didn't understand why.
Like I said before, with the other teams coming in, bringing in bad energy, there could have been bad energy from one of us. There for a while after school, I was getting to a point where I was angry all the time. I was getting depressed. It felt like something was always watching me. So, and I had my own theory about the school. I think that the spirit that was in the basement, that was supposed to be the janitor, I think he was kind of the main ringleader there, per se. And he kind of tried to manipulate the other spirits and try to get you to think that he was the other spirits also.
Okay, well, it's interesting, when I heard Mr. Ferguson talk about the school and him actually having an experience that he couldn't explain. He wasn't sure if it's ghost or not, but he would explain the most prominent thing that people would experience, which is the doors opening, shutting, the footsteps. I mean, the footsteps you hear in there are probably the most prominent thing, but when it comes to things getting upset and things, wanting to do others harm, I think that's concerning, and I was just trying to find out if it's something you guys did, or if it was you were just the luck of the draw when it came to being targeted. Because why don't you tell the viewers what actually happened to you, what the extent of your sickness was?
Yeah, so I actually ended up getting MRSA in my blood, ended up getting MRSA in my lungs. I got pneumonia in my lungs and pericarditis around my heart. And the infection got so bad so quick that the first few days I was in the hospital, the doctors didn't think I was even going to pull through it. It just hit like a bolt of lightning.
Wow. And they didn't give you any explanation of why that happened?
They couldn't figure it out. They said, usually it progresses over a couple weeks. You get chills, you get fevers, body aches, and I wasn't having any of that. It just on a Friday, it felt like I'd pulled a muscle in my arm. By Sunday, I went to the ER. Doctor poked my back, said, "Yeah, it's just a pulled muscle." And the following Monday, I was in the hospital.
Wow.
Felt like I was having a heart attack.
Now, did anything else happen to the other team members or anybody else that investigated, following them home, do anything to them?
Not that I'm aware of, no. But
Hmm.
I was kind of always really poking kind of hard, and like I said, I wasn't being the nicest, but I wasn't trying to be, an a hole per se. So
You
I
wanted
think
some.
it.
You wanted them to do something.
Yeah, I did. I mean, that's why I investigate to see what's out there. What can happen. I may put it on myself. I lived through it. It's not going to stop me from investigating and, poking and prodding. I want to get answers. Everybody wants to get answers. That's why we do it.
So, do you think that that changed your approach when it comes to provoking at all, or no?
Yeah, it definitely changed my approach. I try to seem more jokingly when I poke and prod and provoke. Try to take an easier approach to it.
Have you considered getting protection for yourself, or trying to protect yourself in any way from that happening in the future while doing that?
I do when I do investigations. I do wear a black tourmaline crystal. It's supposed to be, pretty good against protecting you against bad spirits. Um, I haven't saged myself, cleansed myself at all. We've tried reaching out to a priest and got no response back. Um, but ever since I did get out of the hospital, I've kind of calmed down a little bit and haven't had anything malicious happen to me.
Well, that's good. If you do need cleansed, I do that, and I also my mom's also a legitimate shaman. So if you continue to have those issues, I would be willing to help you out with that.
And I really appreciate that. I may have to look you up in the future to do that. But like I said, everything seems to have calmed down ever since I did get out. And, I haven't been as aggressive. I'll work myself back up to that, but hopefully not to the point where I get put in the hospital or dead again. So,
Yeah, I don't want to see that, and it's really strange. If it did have something to do with the school and the spirit presence there, that is concerning. Very much so. So, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about what you do, what you want to target when it comes to a place to research. Like, what do you look for? Anything specific, like a specific hunting, or do you just do whatever comes your way if it's there?
kind of, I do research before we go places. When we book something, I'll do the research before it and, get an idea of where we're going, what we're getting into, the history behind the place. Personally, I try not to follow what other people say about the place because, that's their own experiences. I don't want it to influence what I'm going to, investigate. If you're watching videos, you got 10 different people saying, well, this specific thing's happening. I don't want that to influence me and then, mess with my mind or something. And that's what I hear. I want to on my own.
It's almost like you want to go to a place that no one's ever heard of, just to avoid that.
I mean, that would be ideal for me. But like I said, I don't watch videos or pay attention to what other people say. Even if we just go to Waverly Hills, that place is packed with people. People always booking it. I'm not going to sit there and listen to what other people have to say about it. That way I don't get influenced in that direction.
Yeah, it is easy to get, influenced by the power of suggestion.
Yeah.
You mentioned Waverly Hills. I was there for the first time. We did a private investigation last year, and we're going to return again this year. I did some research, and I actually made an attempt to connect with not only the history and the tragedies, but I actually made an effort to connect with, specific uh, things that might be there, like the nurse at 502 and tuberculosis patients. I researched what happens to tuberculosis patients, the process that they go through. And when I actually got there, I did the tour with doing no recording or nothing, and I got to go walk
Yeah.
the whole building without doing nothing but just talking to Tina Mattingly and listening to her and feeling the place out. And I'll tell you what, I've never ever in my life been so sensitive to a place, and I think it's because I try to actually connect with the place. Now, my question
Yeah.
is, have have you ever had an experience like that? Do you ever try to connect with the place, or have you connected with the place and found it to be uh, different in that regard?
You know, going into these different places, I get different feelings. You know, sometimes I mean, this may be a common thing with people, with feeling a sadness in there. We went to Old Crow Distillery, and there's a guy that was crushed by one of the elevators down there. Um, I felt really fine throughout the whole place until we got to where that elevator was. I got in the elevator, started asking questions, and suddenly it just felt like I got smacked in the back of the head with a baseball bat, dropped to my knees, made me sick to my stomach. I did not know that this happened prior to going to this place that the guy was killed. We went to Lincoln County Memorial Hospital. I mean, just anywhere it's almost like you can feel the spirits inside the place just walking in the door. I mean, different places just give you different feelings. Walking into a hospital, you may get the feeling of the sickness and death, because look what happens at a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, different feelings going in different places.
Do you feel like that you're sensitive to that type of thing sometimes when you open up?
I think sometimes, I don't know if I'd label myself as a sensitive or not, but going into some places, I do feel like I can feel their emotions, it doesn't happen everywhere, but some places it does happen.
Did you ever think why it happens one time and not the other?
I do kind of question that, but I guess it just depends on who the spirits feel that they best connect with. You could get somebody that's never been on an investigation, never felt anything, and goes in there and, have stomach pains because somebody in that hospital died, from a gunshot to the stomach or something,
Mm-hmm.
It's just who the spirits feel that they're most comfortable with.
Yeah, that's what I wonder too. If they kind of single out somebody or feel like they connect with, you more so than others. You always wonder about that because other people won't feel anything or experience anything like that. It's very
Yeah.
interesting. Before I forget, Matt Benton tried to call me to the show right now, and he told me to say hi to you.
What's going on, Matt?
And speaking of Matt, what do you think about what Matt captured at Higginsport School? Let's just go. I mean, you could say that a door moved, but I guess we won't elaborate a whole lot. I mean, what do you think about that?
I've seen it happen myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've set up experiments in there. Several people have set up experiments in there to check to make sure the wind's not doing it. The weight of the door, it's a heavy door.
Oh yeah.
The experiments that's been conducted has proved that it's not the wind that was moving the door.
No.
I mean,
Me and you both know that.
yeah. That was definitely. When you're sitting there saying close the door and it closes, that's kind of hard to dispute right there.
It's rare. I mean, what? I mean, I guess some people may say stuff happens when they ask it, but not me. It never happens when I ask it to. Like maybe once or twice in my whole time, but just to see it do it in a place like that, after you talk to Mr. Ferguson, you learn about the history of the place, and you just sit there and wonder, well, why is it that door? What is it trying to say? Why is it doing that? It kind of gets more questions rolling in your head. Okay, what is it trying
Yeah.
to do? It's not doing anything else. that we know of. So what do you think is the meaning behind the moving of the door? Do you think it's just, since it's intelligent, obviously, what do you think that means?
At first it really didn't make a lot of sense to me why they closed that door, but after going in there and time developing, we learned that that was the art room by what Mr. Ferguson told us, and then there was a storage room inside that art room where a very unpleasant spirit, I guess, kind of made his home back there. And when you go back there, you capture on EVPs, get the hell out, I'm going to strangle you, stuff like that. So I think the closing of the door may have been a deterrent to keep us out of there so we didn't disturb him.
Ah, so maybe that is the origin of the malicious attacks and energy there. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think that's right. After seeing all that and getting the evidence back there that we got, it definitely something malicious in that storage room back there.
It's kind of interesting that Matt was able to befriend something negative. That I don't know if that's a good thing to say.
I wouldn't want to make friends with the negative energy.
But we both know he kind of tries to walk down that path, and he has a very morbid curiosity with such things. So that might be why it done it for him.
Yeah, that's a possibility, definitely.
So you did recently, towards the end of 2017, I seen that you went to Ohio State Reformatory. Is that right?
Yes.
So what do you think of that place?
It definitely has a lot of energy in there. We was actually up in the chapel, out of all places, and got some amazing EVP responses, spirit box responses. We even got one claimed to be the priest, pastor, whatever you want to call it, saying that I had something bad attached to me, and we asked, "Are you going to help me get rid of it?" And he laughed at me. And then we got some spirit box responses that the whole time we're in the chapel, it felt like there was eyes all around us. And at one point, the priest told them, "Kill them," talking to us. Up in Extreme Solitaire, we actually encountered a very pleasant spirit up there, actually. He communicated with us for quite a bit, was being very polite to us. We were being very polite to him. Throughout the whole place, we were getting all sorts of activity. Yeah, it was definitely a good place to investigate.
I was just blown away by the architecture and the massive majesticness of it, as being a prison. I mean, I can only imagine, when I was observing going down the catwalks and looking into the cells and going into much of them, like being locked up in there would have to be crazy. Yeah. It would have to be.
Oh, yeah. And those cells were not big at all, and it had 2 bunks in there, When you're walking down some of those catwalks, it feels like somebody's going to just reach out and push you over the edge. I mean, the railings was only, waist height in there.
Now, the place I was particularly drawn to was actually the TB ward. Did you go spend any time up there above the chapel?
We went up there. We really didn't get any activity up there too much. Like I said, the place where I got the most activity was down in the chapel, mm-hmm. and the Extreme Solitaire on the very top floor in the back. We got some, I think it was the library over on that side of the building. I'm not sure which wing that is. We got some responses in there. Like I said, overall, I think it was a pretty great place.
Yeah, I would love the opportunity to go with a very small team with more control. I think when I went, there was maybe like 40 people, and the place is big, and but to be able to afford just to get a little bit less people in there would be more beneficial. But I thought the experience there was great. Like the tour guides were great. I thought it was ran very well, and you get quite a bit of time compared to other places. What other prisons and jails have you been? You said you were at the Old Licking County Jail?
No, that was a hospital.
Okay. But that's over there near the that jail, right?
No, that is down south. It's in Tennessee. I don't remember exactly what the name of the city is down there, but it's down in North Tennessee.
Another jail that
Too.
they call Little Mansfield is called Old Licking County Jail. I'm sure you might have heard about it from
Yeah.
Ghost Adventures being there, and it's pretty popular. You need to go check that out, man. That
I've actually been there. We used to break into it as kids.
really, oh, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
my family's up from around the Pataskala area,
Hmm.
so we go up there to visit, family. Me and my brothers would go over there and break into the place.
Did you experience
So,
anything?
a lot of shadow figures, a lot of noises. I mean, at the time, I was young, so I didn't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. It just scared the hell out of us. But I would love to go back there and investigate it.
What I thought was interesting is the matron's quarters, like the very front up where the family lived, the very top floor there. I actually felt something so powerful energy wise that I felt like it was almost electrocuting me. And that's where they captured
Yeah.
the apparitions and stuff there. And I actually recorded something knocking a K2 meter out of my female investigator's
Wow.
hand. And they were touching some of the other guest investigators. And I just wondered if you spent any time up there, if you experienced the same thing or anything at all.
Not that I can really account of. The place is just, I mean, it creeped me out. It always felt like something was just on your back watching you the whole time.
Hmm.
Some places give off that creep vibe, and I think that kind of can influence what you hear, feel, see there. But I mean, you can go into any place, and capture spirits, from a Mason Lodge to a hospital. I think investigating, you really got pretty much a 50-50 shot of hearing, feeling, and seeing anything,
Yes.
So,
So, any place else that you've been to that you would like to share your experience with the viewers? Like probably your favorite place that you've been?
um, thinking about it, St. Joseph's Hospital up in Lorraine, Ohio.
Hmm.
I mean, this place is huge. You can't cover the place in one night. You'd have to take 2 or 3 nights to cover it. But with me being an Army veteran, and they had a VA wing down there at the hospital that didn't really get investigated a lot. And I went in there and, striked up a conversation, tried to be more intimate and relate to the spirits more, with it being a veterans wing and me being one myself. And I actually captured some great responses in there, having a conversation with intelligent responses. I'd say that's probably one of my favorite experiences so far.
I'm trying to figure out if. Yeah, I think someone in the comments was asking if you were into black magic, and I'm like, no.
No, no.
But I've heard a lot of people talk about St. Joseph's, that it's massive and it's a really cool location. So I'm thinking about really pushing that up there since it's in my state.
I mean, it's a great place. It's very clean, well taken care of. The people that I think they're Tri City Paranormal. I don't quote me on that, but they were great people. They showed us a good time while we were up there, and we really appreciate that. But I mean, phenomenal location.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research because I really don't know anything about the place. There's so many places in Ohio just itself, in Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. Do you believe that just where we're at here? I know you're in LA right now, but do you believe that right where we live is probably the heart of the most active locations in the U.S.?
I think so, definitely. I mean, when Lewis and Clark and all of them, the pioneers came through here. The Greater Ohio Valley, was a major hot spot for travelers coming through. A lot of industrial in the area. I definitely think the area that we live in is definitely a hot spot for paranormal. One of the oldest in the country, and
for some reason I feel like it has a lot to do with the Ohio River and the history, like you said, and the Native American history in itself is so concentrated, like with the ancient Adena culture with the mounds and the wars even after the Adena with the Cherokee and the Shawnee right there. And then you have, the slaves crossing the river to get into Ohio to travel north and the Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much history to fuel, a lot of these hauntings. And I just find it so fascinating that we live like right there. It's almost like this huge ley line of, fueling this activity. And I feel kind of fortunate that I don't have to travel far to go to these places. Have you been to Bobby Mackey's?
Yes. Not gonna lie, I was kind of disappointed with it.
Yeah.
I was kind of in the portal to hell, and was provoking down there, and I didn't get anything. I'm not saying the place isn't haunted. Like I said, I think, you have a 50-50 chance of experiencing something when you go into a location. So.
Right. I've heard people say that it's very active, but most everybody says that there's nothing negative there, like it was portrayed on the TV shows.
Yeah, I never felt anything negative. The one thing that I did experience while I was in there, I was actually using the little boy's room, sitting there, and sounded like somebody walked down the hall and walked into the bathroom on me. I stood up, looked over the wall, nobody there.
That's a lot of people report things in there.
Yeah,
that's interesting. But let's talk more about the ITC research you do. What are you doing now? What do you do now that you find that is the most useful thing as far as getting responses that you believe that are spiritual? What do you use primarily?
I mean, every investigation I always have my recorder in my hand. That is one of the best tools you can have, I think. It captures stuff that you can't hear, as for other devices, I think it's more about luck. There's times where I've used the Portal Plus app on my phone and hooked it up to my box and got some great responses. I've hooked up hacked radios to the box and gotten some great responses. I wouldn't say there's more luck with one than the other. So.
Now, I know you asked me about the stuff that I do to try to actually prove and validate EVP. Have you got a chance to look at any of that stuff?
I have not read it yet and looked at it. I get slammed with work, and when I'm home, I spend family time.
Completely understand. Let me know.
I don't have the best memory to go back and remember what people sent me.
That's all right. I was curious on what, because you didn't say anything. If you actually checked it out, I was wanting to know what you thought, and if you were curious about trying some of it. Because I know, what's his name? The Aussie guy that you guys do stuff with. What's his name? Paul. Yeah. He asked me about what I use, and I told him, but he never said anything back to me either. So, a lot of people ask me, and I'll tell you what, Matt Bitton took off with all of that, different type of EVP research, and what he did with his rig was really cool because he did the mag check with it with an EMF sensor, and I was wondering if you tried to test any theories when it comes to how spirits communicate using devices, whether it be a recorder or a app or a ghost box.
Like how do they manipulate it? Is that what you're asking?
Right. Do you try to do any experiments to try to research how they do it?
I mean, we've used EM pumps. We've used nothing at all except our recorders. We definitely listen to our EVPs over and over to see if we can debunk it. If we even question it, we throw it out. And it's not good evidence. So when we are reviewing our EVPs and whatnot, we definitely try to debunk. But there some things you just try to find ways to debunk, and you just can't. I've taken my recorder before, putting it up against like actual magnets, put it up against a radio with the volume turned all the way down, try to check for any type of static interference. And, I've been able to debunk some of those EVPs like that. So.
Now, do you try to do things with radios? Like, do you do stuff with AM versus FM at all?
Yeah, I mean, it actually, I've gotten responses on both. I think FM's probably gotten more responses just because it's able to flip through more radio waves, and they're easier to pick out responses that way compared to AM, where you're, a lot of rural spots, you really don't get anything but static, and the way that they work is, they're manipulating those radio waves to answer your questions and tell you what they want to tell you.
Now, I got a way to prove if that is true or not, either internally or externally. So I won't get into it right now, but if you're interested on how to do that, I will hook you up with the setups after the show or whenever you get back in town or whatever. I'll briefly touch on it. If you want to see if they mess with the radio waves or the radio frequency internally inside the devices, what I did was I took two SB7s because they're the easiest ones to sync and run at the same time. I mount them side by side with the antennas up, and I start them on the same channel, and then I sweep them exactly the same. So they're what's coming out of them are exactly the same. And I run them into a 4-channel recorder, and I record what comes out of both of them at the same time. And after I'm done, I'll pull the card, I'll load it up into software, and then I'll analyze both files and see if one is different from the other. If one is, if they're not mirrored, and it looks like there's an anomaly on one and not the other, then you just prove that something happened on one of the devices and not the other. And then further, if you get a response, like a question that was answered or something like that, then that would be even more interesting. But if what they do is manipulate it before it gets to the record or to the devices, there's another thing you can do. You can get a FM transmitter. You said you like FM. Those transmitters you use for Halloween props. You stick a microphone in and you talk through it and it projects. Well, you get one of them. Okay, you plug your spirit box into it and then record your spirit box before it's transmitted, and then you send it to a transmitter, and the receiver, you just have a speaker there, and then you record what comes out of the speaker. So when you cross-check it, if it's different before and then after, then you just proved that it manipulated it between the transmitter and receiver.
That's actually a pretty great idea, I think.
Yes.
The one thing, me and Austin, and I think Mike was talking about this also, was there will be points where we're doing an EVP session standing next to each other, and we'll have all three of our recorders going at the same time, but sometimes we'll get different responses from what the person standing next to us got. It's we question is, are the spirits telling us things? Are we hearing what we want to hear? And I think, that's actually a pretty good way to look at those EVP recordings, what you was just talking about.
Yeah, the RVPR, that's what it does. It uses multiple mics and goes into one recorder. It records it all on one device. So when you look at seeing what the different mics record, you're looking for anomalies. And I know a lot of people say, they'll catch something different on one recorder when they're running another one right beside it. It could be the same exact recorder, it could be different, but it should be physically impossible to record two different things at the same time. So then if you're making sure that you're not contaminating something moving or there's noise or whatever, as long as you're doing that, then that is definitely better than just using one recorder and just playing it back.
Yeah. Now the three of us, me, Mike, and Austin, we all use the DR60. Like I said, we'll be recording at the same time, same sensitivity level, and we'll get, I may get one response, and Mike and Austin will get, a different response from what I'm getting, and it makes you wonder, or like I said, are they telling you one thing, but they want to tell you to others, to other guys something else at the same time? How much do they actually influence our electronics and recorders?
Yeah, that's a question I ask all the time, and that's what I try to do. I try to come up with ideas that will test those ideas specifically. And
Yeah,
well, I think once we find out for sure what those are and we get enough data, then we can start making better things to capture the voices and to know. And that's
yeah.
ultimately what we're trying to do, I think, as a community and as paranormal researchers. Um, I have an interesting question for you. What do you think about the competition and the drama that goes along with the paranormal field? Whether it be for a location or a certain device or like competition to get a show on TV. What do you have to say about all that?
I mean, it's just like any other thing, I think there's too many people trying to put out too many. They're very similar devices, but they're trying to brand them for themselves. A lot of the spirit boxes, whatever you want to call them, everybody's putting them out, but they're putting their own name on it. Or it just seems everybody, a lot of people in the paranormal field's almost just out for the money, because they know we're always looking for different ways to conduct research. And the drama needs to stop. We're trying to prove to the world that, the paranormal does exist. We don't need to be arguing amongst each other, share locations with each other. What good is it doing hiding a location? Oh, well, we went into this place, but we're not going to tell you where it is. That way you guys can't get in there and get better evidence, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
As for the TV show part, you never know, just don't be going for that. Don't be going to get on TV, go to prove to the rest of the world that the paranormal exists.
I agree. You'd be a liar if you said that you wouldn't, unless you have social anxiety or whatever, if you have a phobia, but to get a show to do that you love and you're passionate in doing would be a dream come true. But from what I know about the how should we say, the industry, there is a lot of, okay, we're going to have you fake this, or we're going to embellish that, or we're going to skew this part of the history just so we can make the show more entertaining or whatever. And that is one of the things I fear when it comes to being on a show or being asked to do something like that, because you don't have control, and you may have way more ethics than somebody that's paying
Yeah,
thousands of dollars to do what they want to do. So
yeah.
there is a
I
lot of
mean,
cutthroat stuff out there.
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, definitely keep it real. I'm not going to say the name of the show, but everybody knows the show, and seeing how it's developed over the past couple years from how it used to 15, 16 years ago, or however long it's been up till now. It seems like that show's just out for the money now. I mean, keep it real. Don't fake anything, because if you get caught faking, not only does it ruin yourself, but it makes the world even more skeptic about the paranormal.
Makes everybody else look bad.
Exactly.
And every
So,
time that I see something, I don't always go out and just call them out. But there's a few times where I felt like I needed to, because it's just absolute horse shit. And I would tell everybody else, if you feel the need to call somebody out because it's just absolute horseshit, I would do
yeah,
it. Because I don't think people should tolerate it to a point. If anybody's else listening that's actually got into an argument with another person in the paranormal community or outside of it. Just try to understand where they're coming from. Maybe a lot of times I see people get into disagreements when they have conflicting views or they try to debunk somebody's evidence or something like that. Have you had a lot of trouble with anybody else like commenting on your videos or telling you that what you're doing is not right?
All the time, it's people who may have never experienced anything, don't believe in it. They tell you, oh, it's just all BS. It's not real. But one thing I've seen lately with the paranormal field, like you're talking about calling somebody out on, there is people build die book boxes, by the dozen and selling them on the internet. This is an antique Jewish box with supposedly a demon trapped in it. And I've seen, it was a real big kick when Ghost Adventures did it with when they went and dug it up in Missouri or wherever it was. I don't remember. And all of a sudden, the internet's being flooded in the paranormal community with these die book boxes. Those are the kind of things that really get me irritated, and it seems like those people are just taking advantage of the paranormal community.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the ITC devices that are like $1,000 or more? Is it just high TV?
I think that's a joke. Exactly. People see this stuff on TV and think, oh, well, they're on TV, they're professionals, they're using these devices. I'll tell you right now, nobody's a professional in the paranormal field. You don't know 100% that these devices are going to work. You can have a $2 radio that's phenomenal. It picks up everything. Or these ridiculously priced $1,000 ITC items that are, it's a 50-50 chance what's going to work. What may work for one person doesn't work for the next. I honestly think people need to chill out with these prices.
I understand. Paying $800 to $1,200 for an RRDR60 is pretty stupid, right?
I mean, me personally and my team, we've had great responses with the DR60 that other people is running different recorders at the same time, and we've picked up great responses. Do I think they're overpriced? Definitely. But I personally feel that, I bought one, I paid the price for it, and it has been phenomenal for me.
Well, that's definitely better than something that doesn't do shit. I mean, come on here. Before I forget, Austin joined us, and he had said something that I want to see what your take is on. He says the theory we had all discussed is that one recording played back, hearing different things between different people, that a spirit can change the audio files after it comes out of the speaker. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think that's a great possibility. We talked about it, and we've all came to agreement that that's definitely a possibility. It's a great theory. Like I said, we've had different responses coming out of all the recorders that was recorded at the same time. And I definitely think it's a possibility. I think he is going on a good track with that. A good direction, looking into something like that.
So let me make sure I got it right. He's saying that it's being manipulated after it comes out of the speaker? Anything's a possibility, whether it's going in or coming out. I think it's definitely a possibility. Okay.
We don't know.
Because there would be a simple way to know if that's true or not. You can use an external speaker, and then you can replay it without the external speaker and look at it, and it'll be something different on the SD card, but you can record what came out of the speaker and just unplug it, and then that would be a real easy way to know if that's true.
Yeah, so that's definitely a possibility to look at it that way.
What I thought also was interesting about that is I test a theory called electromagnetic induction, and it deals with magnetic fields inducing signals through coils. Everybody knows that there's a copper coil inside of a speaker, and if a magnetic field goes near it, you're going to interfere with the signal, and it's going to make noises, and you can do whatever the hell you want if you have intelligent control over the field.
Yeah.
So that is something that I look into. So that's why I kind of wanted to read that and see if I'm understanding him.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. You know, putting the recorder next to a speaker magnet or something when you're talking and recording, and then walking away from that item and doing another recording of the same questions and stuff, and see if it interferes that way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these places that we go into, though, have no electricity, so it's easier to rule that kind of thing out with the electrical interference, because there's no power going in a lot of these places.
Right. That's why I want you guys to really start looking at the RVPR, especially the Mark III, because if the magnetic fields and the induction and the capacitance theories are correct, that specifically can prove if it is.
Yeah.
So when you guys get the chance, I try to educate as much as I possibly can just by proving those theories. If they're not right, we can rule them out.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a great thing for people to have different theories on how everything works. It helps us debunk a lot of stuff. Helps us prove that some of the evidence is real, some that's not. It's definitely a good thing to be diverse in this field, I think.
Yes, and I obsess over knowing what the hell's going on with it, because that's just how my brain works. But we're running almost out of time. Before I tell you that you're awesome and thanks for coming on the show, why don't you tell everybody how they can follow the work that you do and everything like that? Plug away.
We have a Facebook page. It's Creepy Cincinnati Paraforensics. We do a lot of Facebook live streaming on there. We post some evidence on there. We also have our personal Facebook pages. I can't speak for the rest of the team, but if you send me a friend's request, I put some of my evidence on my personal page, along with Mike Ring, Angel Ring, Austin Maynard. We put some of our EVPs on there, a lot of our videos also.
Cool. So yeah, everybody definitely stop by the Creepy Cincinnati Paraforensics Facebook page. Give them a like, give them a follow, and check out what they do. They've been doing some really cool locations recently, and they have also started using the lighting systems that we use. And it's awesome to see footage that you can see things in the dark.
I'll give another plug out to those deadlights. Those deadlights are freaking amazing. I've never seen anything else illuminate on camera like these lights do. Josh Bender definitely did an amazing job with these lights, for sure.
Yeah, it's been freaking awesome working with Josh with those lights. I think that we have so much new stuff coming this year that you guys will probably love, and we can't say enough about it. But with all that being said, we're going to leave it there. Brad, thanks a lot, buddy. I am glad that you're not dead. I'm glad that you made it. I'm glad that you made it through that. And please be fucking careful, man. I mean, Jesus Christ, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
All right, guys.
I appreciate it. It's been great.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. I'm going to try to have like roundtable format shows to where we get whole teams or just other paranormal researchers that I know personally like you, and we're going to focus on topics and all talk about one thing just to, really get the paranormal community together and discuss things with intelligence and insight. So I'll let you know when if you're available to do that. But until that time, you have a good one. Safe travels back over here to Kentucky and Cincinnati area, and I will talk to you later.
Alrighty, I appreciate it. You have a good one.
All right, man. Thanks. There you have it, guys. Brad Streets of Creepy Cincinnati Paraforensics. Really super cool guy. I actually, admire his just honesty and straightforwardness to the paranormal. So definitely check out him and everybody else over there at Creepy Cincinnati Paraforensics on Facebook. I think I have the link. I'm pretty sure I have the link in the description of this video to make it easy for you guys to do that. Next week, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. EST, we are going to have Wayne Poe on the show. I'm not too familiar with Wayne, but from what I can tell, he is a very serious paranormal researcher, and he will have his own take and own experiences to share on the show for us next week. So please tune in to check that out as well. Thanks everybody so much for watching the show each and every week. It means so much to me. Everybody, sharing their stories and their comments on the show live is very, very awesome, and all your contributions are very appreciated as well. We'll always end the show with a little bit of plugs. If you are interested in supporting what Interface Death does and the Necromancer live show, please check out our Patreon page at Support Interface Death on Patreon. The link is there and in the description. You can always follow Necromancer Live Show on Facebook, and you can follow Interface Death on Twitter and on Instagram and Facebook. But we always want you to go to interfacedeath.net, which is the hub and our website to everything. So go over there to interfacedeath.net and subscribe to our mailing list and get to know us a little bit more and help us grow this really, really cool paranormal community that we have going here. We always shout out our patrons live on each and every show. We still have Matt Benton and Clay Borman still pledging each and every month. There are rewards to do so. If you want to support us and get rewards back, go there and find out what rewards are there. Thanks again, every guys. I appreciate everything that has come with this live stream that I have here. And I also want to announce that I'm helping Matt Benton with the Devil's Hour podcast over on the Devil's Hour Production YouTube page. So I'm going to start plugging that as well. It's a 2-hour show with a little bit different format. Okay, so if you guys want to see me and Matt Benton over there on that show, check out Devil Hour's Production YouTube page. But I'm going to end the show as I always do with a little bit of promos. You guys have a very good evening, and I bid you farewell.
Been associated with the school?
We got the school in March of 2017, so about 4 or 5 months.
Nice. Mm-hmm. So you came to the school. What did you expect?
I mean, I had heard from reading about it that it was one of the most haunted places in the state of Ohio, and my skeptical mindset, I was kind of like, this is going to be just an empty building, we might get 1 or 2 things, I don't know. Come to find out, when we came here the first time to do our first investigation ever as a team, we got more activity here than we did at any other location that we've ever been to. And we've been to places like the Ohio State Reformatory, big name places like that. So I was not expecting what we got.
Somebody up here named Kevin. We're gonna have to go down there. There's something down there, dude.